Wednesday, February 14th. It's Hearts and Tears Day. Those of you who are dead, you're missing an entertaining day. One to make it official. Not the reaction I was going for on that one, but I figured those of you at home, so you get a chance to see it also.
You're like a baby.
I'm not sure if you mean my personality or my face, but I appreciate it either way.
Yes.
Thank you. So we'll get into more stories here in a moment. Honor Society things are due, so I'm taking control of those. You should find out Honor Society response in about 2 weeks, because we have to go through and read through the giant stack of them, and then we'll let you guys know from there, so you don't have to keep asking me every day. Monday the 28th, I believe, is the day we are aiming for. And then those of you who did fix your grammar quiz, I did update those grades too. Carter! I forgot to water it. Over there. Does it have me not watering it? That's what happens if you don't water a beer and every day it just dies and falls off. It's like a raccoon. Let's see. I got snagging. Forgot to unfreeze it.
Yeah.
Thanks for agreeing with me. And there we go. And then I'll have to add in the 2 new kids here in a moment who get to be added to the list, so go there. I know! I said I haven't had a chance to add the 2 new kids on there. Settle down, angry. And there. Tomorrow, we begin doing speechy bits with you guys. So here's where Pink Sheet comes in. This thing, make sure you read directions so that you have some idea of what you're doing. And then this side of it, make sure you fill in those top parts and practice it a wee bit. As soon as we run out of volunteers, we'll have you guys start hunting for each other. Again, between 1 to 2 minutes. Biggest issue will be following directions. Ryan!
You forgot me on the
Did I not have you up there either? Hey, look at that! I fixed it so kids don't have to yell at me quite as much from there. Back to your questions as far as speech goes for tomorrow, as opposed to just really good English humor. All right, I look forward. And then when we run out of kids to do this, we will then go back to the 3rd round of you guys getting a chance to do the speechy thing. Because in theory, we have 1 more speech coming up after this one, which won't be a little bit till farther into the year. Till there. The white sheet! So we'll use that again as we get into our stories for today. I added some new pictures up there for you guys. I tried to make that blue also, since kids kept complaining that it was white and not blue. Now it should look blue-ish, if you squint your eyes. I put blue on there. If you can't see it, it's because it's gone now.
Oh, it actually works if you squint your eyes.
Yellow and green.
That one's, see? That one's blue, not blue. Completely different.
It is.
All right. Then, that one's blue at the top, you're right. So the speedy version of this, and I'll show you the new pictures I've added in. What god did we get Jovial from?
Zeus.
What's his Roman name?
Jovial.
Hey, nice. And what is jovial? Not jovial. Jovial mean?
Happy.
There you go. And what god do we get Cereal from?
Demeter.
Demeter, and her Roman name is? Ceres. What is she the god of?
Grain.
Nice. What is cereal?
Sugar.
Food from grain. Not sugar. That's what you guys think. So this is one of the new pictures I put on there. I talked about the frosted mini wheats, so now I figure I can show you guys a picture of frosted mini wheats. So I told you before, when I was a kid, make those bigger and you take off the frosty bits. So this is what cereal used to be. So this is what my grandma tried to give me to eat in a bowl. And so this, as it says right there, shredded wheat with milk or cream, because to try to make it taste better, you would use cream, which is like thick milk. I don't know if you guys ever have like vitamin D milk, which is like the even thicker kind. And then you go beyond that, the next level is cream, and it's, anyways, where they tried to convince people, and then they put like fruit in there. And then, yeah, it looked literally like, you know, on the farm when they have those big rolls that sit in the fields, it looked like a small one of those just sitting in a bowl, and they gave it a spoon, and they're like, num, 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 num. And you're like, no, 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 nums.
How do you eat that with a spoon?
Yeah.
Yeah, did you just break it?
Chunk, 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 chunk. And then a chunk of it would fall off, and you're like, I'm going to eat this chunk first. Ah. It's so yummy. Carter.
Does that pencil thing connect to your computer, which connects to the projector?
Bowen.
Do you remember such thing as thick water?
I'm sorry. I meant Sam.
Isn't that just soggy bread?
So then we go to volcano. And yes, I mean, technically they're made of the same fibery bits. Volcano comes from what god?
Vocab.
Vulcan, whose Greek name is?
Hephaestus.
Good job pronouncing it correctly. What is Hephaestus the god of?
Fire.
Nicely done. And
Fire.
making of things. Asher,
Excuse me.
you are correct. And then with volcano, what is the definition of volcano?
Big exploding rock.
Why is big exploding rock connected? Oh, I forgot that one too. Connected to Hephaestus?
Because
He
he likes
working
big
in the
exploding
mountains.
rocks.
Was working in the mountains. Asher, what's up?
The grain.
Uh-huh.
That is bird's nest.
That did look like a bird's nest. That's actually a legit connection. I'll make on that one. Mercurial comes from?
Mercury.
Whose Greek name is?
Hermes.
And what is Hermes the god of?
Fast.
Messengers and
Thieves.
thieves.
Delivery, mail.
Messengers, the same.
Healing, medical.
FedEx.
Also merchants and travelers, but they don't have to. Messenger is the main one. And then he does do the medici thing. What does mercurial mean?
Changing
Mercury.
We get to, what does the caduceus staff look like?
The snake.
ASL is strong. I felt like we were communicating with each other. So here's where next new picture comes in, because I was talking about being all medically connected. And so I did find that there was like a little nurse symbol where I was talking about a camp nurse, and it had a little thing that was connected to it. So it made me smile at the fact that it does exist. What does the other staff look like? The singles, one stick with the single snake going around it from there is the same thing. Slightly. And what did this staff allow him to do?
Heal thing.
Specifically,
Bring people back to life.
not things like a broken chair. He could just sit there and hit the broken chair. Nothing's going to happen. So it's more about the things. Fatal comes from?
The face.
And how many were there?
3.
Nicely done. And let's see. Ooh, what did the first fate do?
Die.
Make the string. Second one? Measure. Third one?
Cut the strip.
Snippy, snippy. And ooh, when the third one cut the string, what happens to the human?
It was born.
Not died, but born. Nicely done. And when your string is up, you died. And that's where fatal comes in. And what does fatal mean?
Die.
And that's where the deathy bits come in from that. Carter,
So when the fates did the string thing, was the first one, well, after they made the string, pop their eye out, give it to the next one, then they measure the top.
the eyeball thing was much more in the media than it was back in the stories of that day. So that one I cannot speak to as much. Did we get through Iris?
No.
Nope.
Then let's get to Iris and our new one for today. So again, here's where white sheet comes in. And we'll get to Iris and maybe get to our story if things go well. We don't have to yell at you too much. Sam?
Is it named after Iris?
Yes, Iris, but who's the god?
Iris.
No, I got the word, I want the god.
The thing in your like.
Nicely done, Sam!
Whoa.
That's more English humor. Iris comes from Iris. Asher?
Am I too early or can I get a definition?
Well, actually, I'll do what is Iris the god of was the next thing we're going to get to.
Iron.
No, but you sounded fairly confident on that one.
I was.
Xavier?
God of the rainbow messenger of Hera.
So she had two jobs. She was a messenger, and she was also a rainbow god. I do not have a picture to point to for her, but we have another messenger also. Who is the other one?
Me.
So Hermes guy over here. Who did Hermes work for? So here's how things get into it. So Zeus and Hera were married, but they did not get along real well. There were definitely some issues between the two of them, usually connected to the fact that Zeus liked to make a lot of friends, and Hera was not fond of him going out and making lots of friends. And Zeus, being the god of weather, hang on, let's back up. With rainbows, we don't always see rainbows. When do you specifically see rainbows? Not after every rain, but after rain. Specifically, what also has to be going on to see a rainbow?
Sun.
So it has to be sunny and a rain. The Greeks have a story, which we'll get into now, which is about why you see rainbows during that time. So Zeus would come down to Earth to be friendly with a girl. Doesn't want his wife to find out, so trying to be sneaky. he would usually try to put some kind of cover up so no one could see him. Knowing that his wife was up on Mount Olympus and he was down on earth, his goal was to try and put something between the two of them so that he couldn't be seen. Being the god of weather, his go-to thing was to put up a storm above wherever he was. That way Hera could not look down and see him, and he could get away with his friendliness. Problem is, Hera was a woman, not an idiot. They're different. Zeus had struggles with that. So whenever Hera would come outside, and it was a perfectly sunny day, and she'd look down at Earth and see a giant thunderstorm over a girl's house, she got rather suspicious. She was like, huh, that's weird. There's a thunderstorm over Josie's house. Huh, how about that? And so she would send her messenger down, otherwise known as a snitch, to come down and find out what Zeus was doing. And so whenever she sent her messenger down to find out what her husband was up to with his friends, humans would know that the messenger was coming down to snitch. And how would humans know?
Rainbow.
That's where the rainbow comes in. That's why the rainbow only shows up on sunny days when you're not supposed to have rain there. It's because Zeus was in the process of being friendly and covering up his friendliness. So then humans would see the rainbow come down, and that became our signifier that Zeus was somewhere nearby being friendly. So next time you're out with your parents and you see a rainbow, you can get excited and go, look! Zeus is being friendly! And they can't yell at you because it's educational. Bowen.
Suspicious.
Sus. There you go. I'm glad I could help out on that one. So definition of iris. Asher, there's two different definitions of iris.
Rainbow.
No, but you sounded confident again.
Rain.
Rain. You also sounded confident. One of these times we're going to aim for confident and correct, but it's way overrated. Bowen?
Bo.
That's your name.
No.
Did you say Bo?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of your name. You just like gave up halfway through.
He said rain.
Bo. Together, like a teamwork thing?
Yeah.
Nicely done. Teamwork on your wrong answer. I like that one.
Thanks.
I mean, rainbow in, you're almost there. You might as well just keep on adding more sounds to it until eventually we get...
Stop
There.
talking.
Are you talking to you or me? So confused. Sam?
I thingy
It is an eye thingamajiggy. You know which part of your eye thingamajiggy?
The whole, like the full.
Yeah, given. Now,
Muscle. That's a pupil.
so what is Iris the god of?
Rainbow.
Rainbows. What's a rainbow made of?
Colors.
Colors. So what part of your eye is going to be named after the god of rainbows?
Big dog and dark hole.
The black part, the white part, or the part with color?
Black part.
Can I have that back?
I look forward to you guys getting to the quiz. So yes, the colored part of your eye is named after the god of rainbows. Are you getting ready to pull out a mirror and look in your eye? It does have color. You're right. So the other definition of iris, Iggy,
I'm not answering that, but when is the next time we're gonna be able to
to nibble,
gamble?
gamble. I don't know. That's good. Are you that excited? Have I created a monster already?
Never knew.
That's scary. Well, your last chance was yesterday. There was this big game called the Super Bowl, and there was a lot of gambling on that one. I think you have to be 18 though. So the other definition is a flower. An iris is also a flower. So it's the colored part of your eye and a flowery thing. If you've never seen an iris, this is what an iris looks like. The actual flowery thing. And then there's also this part too. So I just took a close-up picture of my eyeball to help you out.
That's not your eye.
Wow, this seems so accusing. This middle part is the pupil. This is the,
Iris.
and then that's called,
I don't think your eye.
it's called the marshmallow.
It's called the
Called the sclera. So sclera, iris, pupil. Cornea is behind it because that's what kids usually end up yelling at me also. So there you go. Colored part of eye and flower. Music in museum? Silly.
The
Music.
muses.
Who are the muses?
The 9 like people who did like arts and music and stuff.
And stuffy stuff? You are correct. Muses! There were 9 of them. So we're going to get to a story here coming up that the Greeks believed that humans were made out of mud. We were essentially mud people that had magic dust sprinkled on us like Pinocchio, and we came to life, which is adorable, but the side effect is Is it hurting your head already?
Oh my god, I hate the Greeks. Back
Whoa.
Names we don't yell out loud. It's okay. So,
Races.
it's okay. We're not recording. So, on this one, the way the Greeks, apparently with the mud people that really bothered Taylin, is the fact that they thought that humans had no creativity to them because we didn't really have it built into us because we were mud people. So if you wanted to do something artsy, we'll pick on Taylin for now, and we said, Taylin, draw a beautiful picture, the Greeks believed she would be unable to. If you gave her a paintbrush, she would just walk and be like, would just smack the thing against it and be like, make pretty, and it'd be done, but nothing good would happen from it. But if you've seen art, you know humans can create wonderful art. The reason being, muses. 9 of these female gods who are in control of all of the different arts. There's a movie called Ghostbusters, if you're familiar with it. They have like little ghosts that fly through people and stuff like that and leave like a little ghostly, slimy residue behind them. That's sort of how the muses work. If a muse decided that Taylin was worthy, and she stepped up to her painting thing, the muse would fly through her, sort of possess her like a little Pinocchio kind of thing and control her hands. And when Taylin stepped up, she'd be like, I make pretty... Mona Lisa. And then she would finish it, but it was not her. It was the muse working like a little puppet. And when the muse was done, they would leave, but leave like a little bit of residue behind. And that residue would continue to inspire Taylin until eventually that residue would disappear, and then you get writer's block, and you can't write anymore until eventually the muse would come back to you. So people would sacrifice to the gods or sacrifice to the muses to get inspiration. Please come and repossess me so I can have this beautiful art. So if you heard sound that was pretty, it was not because you could sing, it's because a muse possessed you. A museum literally means a building full of things made by muses, because that's what happened. When you see these beautiful works of art, it was not from humans doing it, it was from the muses doing it. Just like you wouldn't give credit to the paintbrush, you don't give credit to the human. It was the muses that did it. So on that one, a music is pretty sound, and a museum is just a collection of art all connected back to the muses, because it was thought they did. And they had, the reason there was 9 is each one was in control of something. There was one muse that controlled dance, one that did painting, one that did sculpting, one that did poetry, and so they each had their own area that they would control. So the dancing one would be like going around and hitting all the different dancers who were out there and stuff like that. Hi, Bo. Ben?
So you're telling me
I am.
every time I shower,
Uh-huh.
a muse decides to possess me.
Because you sing really well there.
Oh, what?
I was getting real scared. I did not know where that story was going either. Sure. Sam?
Well, you said a museum is a collection of art. What about the Museum of Belly Button? Would that be considered a collection of art?
This is why I apologize on behalf of some of you.
See, now I don't sound good.
I don't think that makes it better. June! We'll jump to that one. Mia?
Hera.
Why Hera?
Her woman name is Juno.
And what is she the god of?
She's the queen of the gods.
She is.
And before, it used to say hero, but why did it change to June?
Because I used to do Hero with Hera, and then I switched to June because I like the story a little bit better. And so I just keep forgetting to change it off the original one. I like to leave it there to see which kids pay attention, because it brings me joy. Yeah, way to whip. All right, so it also says she's the god of 2 other things. She is queen of the gods, being Mrs. Zeus was her big one, but on there that has 2 other areas she was in control of, which would be marriage and childbirth. Remember how Zeus is connected to Jovial, and that was ironic? Hera doubles down on her irony. So with this one, Hera, or Juno, was the god of marriages. Problem is, her marriage is awful, because she's married to Zeus, who is very friendly with everyone except for her, and she spends most of her time trying to hunt him down and kill him. So the fact that she is the god of weddings and marriages and has a horrible marriage is ironic. She's also the god of childbirth. She has 4 babies. Her husband has thousands of babies. If you look at all the Olympians up there, of those, almost all of them are his children. 2 of them are his wife's children. So she does not have nearly as many babies as her husband. Because of that, she spends a lot of her time trying to kill babies. Because every time her husband has a new friend and a new baby appears, her goal is to kill that baby. So she becomes the god of childbirth and is the #1 baby killer. So again, the Greeks were like, yay, irony! It's too bad Taylin hates us. And so that was how it sort of worked out for them. June, the month, is connected to Hera. No, it is not the month where most women kill babies. Although I can understand why you would think that way. It goes back to the marriage part of it. And the idea was people were trapped inside all winter time, and if you wanted to get married with that hunky guy, you wanted to do it when the world was nice and warm and you could go outside and not be indoors. And so that time of year when it was nice outside became known as the time of Juno, because so many women got married during that time of year. Even to this day, more people get married in June than the other 11 months combined. June is still the #1 time to get married. School gets out, weather is nice, it's not crazy July or August hot, and so June is still, even to this day, the #1 time to get married. I'm scared to call on either one of you from previous conversations, so it was bad I stopped calling on children. Asher?
Is Hera your favorite, or I don't know how to say it, your favorite Greek god? Because murder of children?
Did you just say Hera? I don't know how to pronounce her name.
No.
Oh.
I don't know if that's right.
It is correct.
Okay.
And no, she's not, although the murdering of children is fun. Owen?
They should make a Doom game out of Hera.
A Doom game?
Yeah.
Because you go around. Right, so let's go to mind. And on that one. Silly.
Minerva, which is Athena.
And what is Athena the god of?
Smart and battle.
The god of 3 things. War, wisdom, and weaving. Because how do those 3 things not go together?
Underwater basket.
Come on, you gotta weave armor.
They do. So Athena is the one that's back over here who's fighting the really big horse, or maybe she's just a midget. She's also, she was the god of war. There is a second god of war. Is correct. Dude up there. The reason they have 2 is that the Greeks really liked war, in case Taylin came after them. And then Ares was the god of, I don't care how I win war. And then Athena was the god of using your brain to fight strategically war. Over here, this is Athena on this one. On her shield, can you tell what that is?
Owl.
Do you know why she has an owl on her shield?
Owls ask
Their motif
questions.
is that they're wise.
There you go, the motif in the owls being wise. Back over here above Asher, this is Athena. That is not an owl on her shield. That is an owl on her shoulder. On her shield is Medusa, same one that's over there on the shield that Silly's brother made for me. And so she is connected to that one. The very brief story with Medusa, she was a human girl who tried to steal Athena's boyfriend, which is not a good idea, and her 2 sisters helped cover it for her. So when Athena found out that she stole her boyfriend and then her sisters covered up, she said, well, if you enjoyed stealing my man, you're never going to steal a man again. I'm going to make you so ugly that any man who looks at you instantly turns to stone. So you will never get another man. Wink! And that's what turned her into a Medusa. And so her name was always Medusa. She just went from pretty Medusa who got dudes to ugly Medusa who turned them to stone. And then she became what was called a Gorgon, which was this whole new creature that was created. So that's Athena. Bowen?
Technically, Medusa did steal a ton of men because they were just stuck in her cave.
Right,
So-
or outside. I'm not really sure that counts as stealing, but sure, if that's what you want to go for. And I apologize for calling on you again. That was silly of me.
Well, no,
I don't know what I
that
was thinking.
wasn't that weird.
No.
It was
The fact that you have to qualify it makes it slightly scary.
Well, no, because it was in theme with what we were talking
That
about.
is true. So, are you guys familiar with how Athena was born? If not, I'm going to give you my version of the story into it. So, our first-ish kind of big story. This is going to deal with a boy by the name of Zeus. So,
Wow.
shortly after, and this is going to jump around a little bit, but it's fun to give you your first story. Shortly after Zeus became king of all the gods and got married to his sister Hera, because that was popular back then.
Whoa.
I know, don't worry, it's going to get a lot worse. He decides to celebrate his marriage to his sister by getting a girlfriend. because that's how Zeus celebrated most things, was by getting a girlfriend.
That's why they hate each other.
That's one of many reasons why they dislike each other. The girlfriend he got was a girl by the name of Metis, Metis. And he and Metis hung out for a while, and things were going well. And Metis was one of the gods of memory and intelligence, and was an overall smart girl, except for the dating of Zeus, which was not a real smart thing to do. So he and Metis are together for some time, until one day, Metis comes up and talks to Zeus. And she goes, "Hey, Zeusy Poo." He goes, "Uh-huh." She goes, "I have good news." He goes, "What's up?" She goes, "I'm pregnant." And he goes, "Oh, I thought you said good news." And she went, "What?" And he goes, "Just kidding." He goes, "Well, here's the problem. She's pregnant. Pregnant means there is now evidence of his friendliness. And you can't have evidence of friendliness because his wife tends to frown on that. So he decides he's going to have to get rid of Metis and the baby to make all of the evidence disappear. Now, I know, your first thought is just kill them because that's what we do with girlfriends. But no, bad children. Why can he not just kill his girlfriend?
It's like God.
Right. It doesn't do any good. Nor can you just kill the baby. Because once the baby comes out and you stab the baby, you just have a baby on a stick that's screaming. And you're like, "Bee!" And the baby just sits there and spins on the stick and doesn't solve anything. So he has to be a bit more creative in his baby solving. So he comes up with a plan to get rid of both Metis and the baby and not get in trouble with his wife. So he tells Metis, "Hey, that's great news. I'm so glad that you're pregnant. We should celebrate." And she's like, "Oh, that's so sweet." He's like, "Well, it is Valentine's Day." And she goes, "What's that?" He goes, "I don't know, it'll be invented someday." He goes, "Why don't we go out for a picnic? Deep, way back into the woods where no one can interrupt us." And she goes, "That's romantic." And he's like, "Uh-huh, romantic." And so he packs a little picnic basket with peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and and he takes her deep into the woods. And once they're way deep into the woods, they have their little picnic and everything is going wonderfully. And he comes up with this plan. He goes, "Hey, Metis, hon." She goes, "Uh-huh, what's up?" He goes, "Hey, I think we should play a game." She goes, "I love games." She goes, "I do too." She goes, "Like tic-tac-toe?" He goes, No. I have a new game we should play." She goes, "What is it?" He goes, "This game is called Who Can Turn Into the Smallest Animal." Now, you have to understand that the Greeks believed the gods were like animorphs. They could turn into any creature or being they wanted to at any time. They could shapeshift. And so it was a fairly easy thing to do. She goes, "Oh, how do we play this game?" He goes, "Oh, well, you're not very bright." He goes, "We're going to see who can turn into the smallest animal, taking turns going smaller and smaller. Whoever becomes the smallest one wins." She goes, "Oh, this game is going to be great." He goes, "Okay, I'll go first." He goes, "Vroom," and turns into an elephant. And she's like, "Oh, easy." Whoop! And then she turns into like a hippopotamus. And they keep giggling and doing a little smacky thing back and forth and going smaller and smaller. It becomes like a dog and then a cat, and you get down to a raccoon and you get down to a rat. And it keeps going smaller and smaller, and the giggling and the flirting is going on until eventually he goes all the way down to the size of a fly. And she goes back to human form. He flies around her in like a little fly form. And he's like, "Buzz, buzz, buzz, I've won. There's no way you're going to beat me." And she goes, "No, I have an idea." He goes, "What?" She goes, "This." And she goes into a gnat and goes even smaller than his fly form. So then he goes back into human form. And she goes, "Do you give up? Do I win?" He goes, "I have an idea." She goes, "Buzz, buzz, what?" He goes, "This." Whoop, grabs her out of the air, takes her and goes, whoop, nope, and swallows her, thus trapping her forever in his stomach. Once she is swallowed, she is stuck inside of him. At this point, you're going to try to apply logic, and it's going to hurt your head. Because you're going to go, shouldn't she just pass right through? And the answer is no, because the Greeks don't believe in logic. She's stuck forever inside of his body. And he brushes off his hands and goes, case closed, packs up the picnic basket, heads back out, and Metis is never seen again. Yes, new student.
We were discussing.
Uh-huh.
Couldn't she just turn into an elephant?
She could, but wait, are you trying to apply logic? Uh-huh, yeah. Again, yeah.
We were also wondering, like, why you would start as an elephant.
Well, then it's not much of a game if you go straight to the smallest one. It's the flirty giggle thing. You missed the flirty giggle thing. It's like people have no idea how flirting works. Carter!
Technically, the gods went to meet don't need nutritional value because they can live forever. no
They
matter
did
what.
actually. They had to eat the ambrosia and nectar. If they did not, then it did actually hurt them long term. But that's the thing we'll get into
They
again.
can die.
They could. It didn't make them die necessarily, but they got weak and they couldn't do as many push-ups.
So I'm guessing the body then absorbed all that and it didn't create fecal matter.
No, I have no idea. You can write them a letter and ask. So at this point, Zeus goes back up to Mount Olympus, and everyone keeps asking, "Hey, where's Metis?" And his answer is, "Oh, good question. I guess she's just gone. We'll worry about that later." Years go by. No one knows what happened to Metis. She is just gone and disappeared, and it becomes one of those great mysteries. Till one day, Zeus is walking through Mount Olympus and starts getting a monster headache. Starts banging against his head, and he starts falling around and hitting. He's like, "Oh, my brain, it hurts so badly." And he starts talking to the other gods. He's like, "Hey, I have a horrible headache. Can you guys help me out with this?" And they go, "Yes, but unfortunately it's not going to be until next week because the bell's going to ring." Well, because Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, what are we doing this week?
Word.
Speeches! And Monday, you guys don't have school.